Welcome to Behave Yourself, the podcast that aims to bring the science of human behavior and how you can apply it to your own life and become the happiest, healthiest, and most successful version of you.
We're two behaviour analysts with backgrounds in personal training and nutrition who've struggled in the past with confidence, weight loss, breaking promises to ourselves, and constantly trying the quick fixes.
We bring the science and show you how to apply it confidently and consistently towards your own goals and how to actually create a lifestyle change.
Behaviour analysis is the science of human behaviour, and we all engage in behaviours that either move us towards the direction of our goals or hold us back from living the life we desire.
I'm one of your hosts, Emily McRae.
And I'm your other host, Jo Wesley. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Well, if we're getting real.
Here we are.
Here we are. It's getting real. It's been a really tough week. I have definitely had all the anxiety demons come out, and they are in full force. So, how are you?
Yeah, same. We talked about it before we started recording, and before we started recording the last episode. It's been a week, and I feel like it's been a hard week for everyone, both in the UK in the midst of our third lockdown and in the US with what's been happening, not only because of COVID, but because of politics and whatnot over there. But yeah, it's been a hard week, and I feel like we wanted to go into this to show that I think often we come onto the podcast and we have a topic and we have a plan and we go through the plan and it's nicely structured and we give all our advice as experts and then we say goodbye and we smile. And actually, we're human. And as Emily said, she's had the anxiety gremlins. I am one more person talking badly to me away from a meltdown. And I think it's important to show that we're real as well. So if we go off on many tangents and this episode ends up being longer than usual, I'm sorry, but this is unstructured and this is just us being very honest. So I think, I don't know how you feel. I feel like we've gotten to a point where certainly from the very start, and people will know from my Instagram, I have been resolutely positive and from the start pivoted and made myself be flexible and say, you know, this is difficult, but where's the positives? Let's look for the positives. And it's been like 9-10 months now of that, and having repeated issues and difficulties thrown at us. And I think we've all just hit a bit of a wall of it's now, I just don't really have much more positivity to give.
Yeah, it's interesting that we were talking about the social media side of it. I posted on my stories that I was just having a crappy morning, and I was trying to be real and share that, but then I went and put a black and white filter over it. And even that, it was covering up a little bit of that vulnerability and a little bit of that I'm struggling. And again, you don't want to bring everyone down if your posts are, I'm struggling, you want to provide, we're there to provide value and help change behaviors, but we are human and we also struggle and we also have crappy days and crappy weeks, and we aren't always at our absolute best. But it's a hard balance being on Instagram and on social media and seeing, and a lot of people are just sharing the positives probably in an effort too, like we said, to be positive and to find the good in things, or to just not bring everybody down. But at the same time, we are all human and we all have a lot of struggles going on right now.
I think particularly with our jobs, it's tricky because, say, with your job, you're supporting your clients in their health goals. I'm supporting my clients with their own goals, but also their parents, their children's goals. I work primarily with children with autism. I'm supporting their therapists in their day-to-day. So if I turn up to a school or a client's house, or I'm on Zoom, and the client, whether the client's parents or the client themselves, asks me, how are you? There is only one acceptable answer, and it's, I'm good, thanks. How are you? Let's talk about you today. Because it's not my job it's my job to support them. It would be so inappropriate for me to be honest about how I am. But unfortunately, they then think I'm genuinely fine, and had some clients being pretty crummy to me this week, and actually for the last few weeks, but I think it's because they've hit the wall as well of they're struggling and they're stressed and they're taking it out on me. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, and I don't know where I was reading this, where I was rea it was something, but breaking down that wall of, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine," and I'm I'm having a challenging day today. I'm not fine. I'm here and I'm showing up. And in some professions you can do that, and in some professions you cannot do that. But with certain people, you can be a little bit more honest and raw and real. And like maybe with your coworker, you're like, "Hey, I'm really having a challenging day. Can you help pick up this, you know, piece of work or this caseload or something?" And just saying like, "Hey, I need some support," and that more of that advocation. Advocation? Is that the right word?
Go with it. It's fine.
I don't know. Sure. You know what I mean with it. But advocating for yourself, and when you are having some time where you need a little bit more support. I think that's the other thing too, is we don't want to ask for that help and that support because we're supposed to have it all together. And sometimes we don't have it all together, and that's okay.
I have two colleagues who absolutely know my crazy, and they know that I struggle with anxiety, and they know the whole situation of what our work is and what it's like. And so um I don't think they listen. They will definitely know who they are if they are listening. They have honestly saved my life at many points, but could just be very honest of, client X said this, and this. Am I going crazy, or are they just being a raging, you know what? And they're like, no, Joe, you're doing the right thing. They're being a raging, you know what? But remember that they've also got a child with severe autism and a stressful
Hmm.
job, and they kind of keep me on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, it
It's
brings that
funny.
perspective a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a funny one because on the one hand, I feel like it's been great for the last 9 months that we have been so positive and we've looked for the positives and we have found business opportunities where they wouldn't have been because we've been positive, and we haven't just been allowing ourselves to sit on the pity potty. But I'm now starting to feel like it's coming out in other areas of my life because I'm not letting myself be upset or frustrated or angry at more appropriate points. So clients have spoken to me very badly. I've had some pretty crappy things happen personally. There's been lots of little things that have happened and not allowed myself to be sad or upset by them. Christmas was cancelled, for example. That was really disappointing, but within seconds had turned on a hairpin of making wonderful plans of how Christmas was going to be great and didn't allow myself to be sad. But now tiny things are happening, like our local news agent refused to accept a parcel for me, and he got the full edge of my sass. And I'm going to have to go back and apologize to that poor man because all he did was say, I've got no more room for packages. I can't accept it. And I was quite rude to him. I'm going to
Mhm.
have to go back and apologize. And we got outside the shop and Jim looked at me. He was like, should we talk about what that was really about? Because that's not you. And
Mhm.
so tiny things now, like running out of loo roll, is I'm having full on meltdowns about. And I'm a fully grown woman. I can deal with a package not being accepted. I can deal with running out of toilet roll. But I'm getting so annoyed and upset by these things, I think, because I haven't allowed myself to fully feel the emotions of other stuff that's happened.
Yeah. I like that you call it loo roll. I know it's super not related at all, but that's so great.
Oh, thanks.
Bring some light into that. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It took me a minute. So it was like a loo roll. And then I realized what you were saying.
What do you call it?
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. I like it.
Yeah.
Talking of which, I think it's funny, isn't it? Because like we've been on Zoom now for an hour or two working on business stuff together, and I feel 1,000 times better than when we started,
Hmm.
which is lovely. And again, I could very, very easily force myself to find the positives and patch over things and feel better. But it wouldn't take many things tomorrow and later of negative things to happen before I'm back in the anxiety gremlins and the angry place. Um, And so it's a funny one, like how to then, and I haven't got the answer to this, how to then process all of those negative emotions in a productive way and in a safe place. Like I can't have a meltdown with clients and I can't talk to them like
Mm.
I spoke to the poor newsagent man that I promise I'll go and apologize to, because I would probably lose a client and maybe lose my job. But then how to process all of those emotions in a safe and healthy way, I don't know.
Yeah. I know it's tough. I struggle a lot with anxiety in a different way than I think is typically seen. I guess in a way and that's what I think is challenging for me is it's not where I do get worried and like anxious, but in a very different way. So it's for me, it's not feeling good enough or smart enough, not having the answers, feeling overly challenged in a conversation and not again it comes back to not feeling good enough but I and there are other deeper things within personal things but and again we talked about getting real but some things are just kept personal but they it ends up turning into almost like rage and anger and to the point where and this is like getting super super honest I get to a point of like impulsivity and to the point where I hit my hand on the counter. And because I was so frustrated, because I wanted to, again, we talked about functions, I wanted to escape that pain and get it out of me and that frustration. And so I hit it. And that's to a point where, like, I knew this was getting to a point of not good, not healthy ways of managing it. So looking at more healthy ways of when I'm getting frustrated or why and finding little like fidget things to fuss with my hands with to kind of get that sensory that input like a keychain ring and asking and saying when I'm in a difficult conversation if I don't know the end point of it it is that uncertainty gives and for many people the uncertainty of all of this world stuff is giving a lot of anxiety but that uncertainty of when that conversation is going to end and so saying like hey can we do 5 more minutes and then be done. And knowing that end point can be more helpful. And then like deep breaths, though it sounds very basic, but like taking some deep breaths or taking a drink of water or walking back and forth using more of those strategies. But again, it's not to say that I have perfected it in any way and I have my own demons and struggles, but that has been so challenging this week for me. So
Mm.
that's where I'm at.
I remember reading about this, and I'm not going to be able to quote the study or whatnot, but did you know that scientists can medically make you cry tears? I guess it's through putting onions in your face, and that is those tears are chemically very different from the tears that you
Mhm.
cry when you're genuinely sad or angry or frustrated. And so I guess you
Yes.
really are releasing some kind of toxins when you cry. And I think sometimes actually I just need a really good cry.
Mhm.
Honestly, I think Jim and I went for a long walk yesterday, and this was after I'd been rude to the newsagent man, who I still need to go back and apologize to. I feel very bad about it. Poor guy. He was quite sassy with me too, to be fair. But
Mm.
and we started talking about things, and I had a little cry, and we talked about it a little bit, and then I think the magnitude of what needed to be talked about was just too big. So decided to have a gin and tonic and play some board games and have a good cuddle instead. So that was, I mean, that in a way that was really nice because for our relationship to just be able to kind of have a gin and tonic and have lots of talking time. We didn't put on the TV all night. We just kind of lay on the sofa and chatted about things. And it wasn't even chatting about important things, but I escaped what we could have had a longer conversation with more tears and talking it through. And we only had a little one, but actually, was it better that we had a gin and tonic together and had those chats? I don't know if it's better. It was nice.
Yeah.
And it's a funny one because like if I was listening to myself and as if it was one of my clients, I'd be saying like, are you getting the basics in? Are you drinking your water? Are you eating your veggies? Are you still moving? Are you sleeping? Are you having a shower every day? Are you getting the basics done? And like, I'm smashing the basics. Like I'm
Mm.
still going through the motions of life. I'm just not processing the emotions very well.
Mhm. Yeah, it's I probably haven't been as on track with my basics. I mean, I focused a little bit more on increasing my vegetables. I was actually decently good even throughout this week of getting more vegetables in and getting my water increased. Movement was a little bit less than I think I would have wanted, and again, I had a crazy week with work too, of a schedule and covering some shifts for some people, but it again, it was the basics, but this is like an ongoing thing that I've struggled with, and it's increased a lot recently and gotten a lot worse recently, and so looking at what I can do before and after, because my initial thing is to, like, run or escape it and just run from it and not address it and not approach it, and then you end up just in this circle of the same conversation over and over again versus actually making some decisions and actions.
And actually, I think the point that you made on social media, maybe you want to touch on this week,
Mhm.
was really great. Or like we're not um publishing this episode because we want messages from all going, "Are
Mhm.
you okay?" And actually, in a way, I often don't post about these anxiety episodes on social media because I find, sorry, friends, I love you dearly, but I find when you send those messages quite frustrating. Like, you haven't given a two hoots about me, nearly. You haven't given two hoots about it for the last kind of few months. Not that you don't care about me, but we're all dealing with our own struggles. I am, you know me well enough to know that I'm not immature enough to post on social media for attention. If I need
Mhm.
attention, I'll ask for attention in a grown up way. And so I guess, like, we're not asking you to now send us loads of messages asking if we're okay, but more putting this episode out there to show that we're human and sometimes we don't have all the answers as well. I don't know if you think
Yeah.
the
Oh,
same.
yeah. And I even put that, like, little note in my stories of, "I'm not doing this," so you text and say, "Are you okay? I love you." And there were still people who sent messages or just, like, a heart and, like, "I'm here," and Joe was one of them, and it's nice because I know that those people are there and they care and they're seeing it and they're acknowledging that. It's more of, I don't wanna come off as, like, I am so on it. I'm just, this is what I'm doing. I'm training, I'm coaching, I'm podcasting, I'm eating my vegetables, I'm drinking my water, and everything's fantastic. Like, no, I'm real. I have struggles. I get angry easily. Hit my hand on a counter. Like, that is real. I am there, and that's what I wanted to share in that story of, like, not every morning is fantastic, and yes, I can have a fantastic morning training my clients, and it gives me so much joy, but then there are also times where I am not great, and I want to be more open about that and honest about it, and we need more attention around mental health and just the fact that we are all struggling and that acceptance of it. But again, not looking for the pity. I'm not looking for, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? Like, what can I?" No, just recognize that we're human and recognize that you're human and that we are all facing challenges. And if you think that anybody on Instagram is not struggling, they're probably struggling behind the camera and behind the posts.
And that's not to say that if you do need, like, if you post on social media and
Mhm.
if you do need attention, like, absolutely get it. And
Yeah.
I think Emily and I are coming from a place where we're struggling in terms of mental health because that's where we all are. But
Mhm.
also, if you are really struggling even more and
Yeah.
you need help, you guys and presumably have the Samaritans over there,
Yes.
whether it's the Samaritans or another mental health charity or friends or family or us.
Mhm.
And you need that kind of someone to tell you that you are a valid, loved human being and that you're worthy. Reach out to whoever you need to reach out to. It's not that we're saying it's bad that you
Absolutely.
have to reach out. It's just,
No.
I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? I feel like I'm tired of being positive. I'm tired of not being positive. I just, I don't have all the answers.
Yeah. And there are days where I feel like I should post information or content on Instagram, and I'm just tired and I don't have any motivation to do any of it. And I was actually thinking the other day, I'm like, I wonder. if I've actually like talked on Instagram in a few days or posted something. And there are moments where I feel like I should, and then other times where it's not the end of the world and it's not a requirement. And so I'm not going to if I'm not in a space where I want to. And it's very clear in my posts when I'm having a more challenging day, but I'm trying because my what is it, caption is very different than if I'm trying to educate or inspire. And there's other days where I'm not. So it's very, very
100%.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if, and this is something that I guess we're going full circle. We
Mhm.
started off with our Zoom today for a business meeting, and I would say, pretty quickly pepped each other up and we're feeling
Mhm.
better. Then we recorded our last episode about the functions of movement, and we were pretty flying high. And we've just
Mhm.
been really honest and raw and real about how we're feeling. And I feel like my emotions are a little bit downward again.
Yeah, I'm
I
a
wonder if we
little
now, I wonder if
bump
we
it
now
up.
bring it back up a bit.
I know. Yeah, I really noticed that. I actually noticed it in my posture too of how I was sitting and I just felt very low.
Okay, let's take it in turns.
Let's go.
Number one, I had a new client call this morning with someone who is pretty awesome. And I think she'll know who I'm talking about when I talk about her. She's new. We used to work together in a different field, and now she is a client. And she is totally open to being honest and great because she's in behavior analysis, great at taking data. She's very positive. She was saying she was a yes person to everything I was suggesting, and she is going to go good places. I'm really excited about working with her.
That's so awesome.
Your turn.
I showed you this earlier, but I have a client and we are working on just getting in some basic calories. And for her, it's just maintaining because she's also in a state of just trying to take care of her basic health stuff through a challenging time. And we got some data stability. So for our behavior analytic listeners, it was so awesome. There was so much bounce before, and now it has totally stabilized. For our non behavior analytic listeners, she became consistent with hitting her goals for her nutrition. So she was very variable, 900 calorie days to 2,500 calorie days, and all the days in between. And now she is consistently at her level of where we set her. And it was just some simple strategies like smoothies. And it was so simple, but it was enough. And so I'm really proud of her for that. And that was a fun win for us. So
Nice.
other good stuff. What other good stuff do we have?
I think she's going to enjoy this. I had a message from Matty telling me how much she was enjoying our podcast, which I loved. And also, Matty, I've heard that you love my accent. So, hello, Matty. And we're really
I love
excited. And we're
this.
really excited to have messages from all of you. But I find that
Mhm.
kind of stuff, like, don't underestimate how much joy your message has given me, Matty. And anyone who messages or tells us that they
Mhm.
listen or they enjoy the podcast, that brings me so much joy. So, thank you, Matty.
So much joy. She's going to be pumped about that, I know.
Yeah.
I think my other, like, it's not a past win, it's a future win. We are going to go for a run today outside. So the fact that I'm able to plan in runs now and I haven't had any pain from running. So exciting days are ahead, and I'm definitely ready to get back into consistently running and not have any pain.
Nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went for a walk earlier today with a really, really good friend of mine. And it's actually really nice because we both kind of met, like, oh, how are you? Actually, I'm not good. And she said, oh, I'm not good either. But how nice that I have a friend that we can have those real, honest conversations with. And she's almost family. She's so close to a friend. And that I have a husband that
Mhm.
I can be an awful human being to a stranger in front of. And we get out of there and he doesn't tell me off for being an awful human being. He asks, do you really want to talk about what's really going on? So I have some pretty
Mhm.
awesome friends and family.
Yes, absolutely. Other wins. Oh, I met up with my brother on Friday. Met up with him. He came to my apartment. But we are planning our trip to Vegas to help him move and find an apartment. So we'll be heading there on Thursday, which this will be posted in the past, so it won't line up. But yeah, so I'm proud of him. I'm excited for him. Very big older sister moment. So
That's fun. This is a
yeah,
silly question, maybe. Do people really live in Las Vegas?
they do.
Okay. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's different from like the strip that us foreigners see.
So he is trying to apply to University of Las Vegas, Nevada, and so he's gonna live. It'll be like where we're looking in the area is like 2 miles from the strip. So yeah, people
Oh,
live
but you
there.
still see the lights from it at night.
Yes, yeah, from like the
Hmm.
pictures that we saw. Yeah, so neither of us have been there, but he wants to go out there, so we're gonna go and take a brother sister trip and do it. So we worked on, I'm sure he hated me for making him do it, but I made him make the phone calls and make all those tour schedules and everything, which is hard. It's a big adulting moment and also very anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time making phone calls and I make them all the time. And so it's like, you have to make the phone call. I'm
Nice.
sure I induced a little bit of anxiety into him as well of having to talk to strangers on the phone. So, but it was a good motivation to find a place to live.
Yeah, and be a grown up.
Yeah.
Fun.
I know. I'm proud of him.
What else? There has been lots of good stuff.
There has.
Sure.
And that's the thing is I think we try and highlight all these good things and then we also, I mean, I'm already brought up by all this good stuff. And so I think that is a good point of if you're really down and you're really struggling, find the wins, stack the wins, what was good, what are all of these good things, but also recognizing and acknowledging when you're struggling and when things are really challenging, that kind of balance between the two.
I don't know if I'll be able to find my notebook. I have a notebook that I carry around with me with clients and work. And on obviously I go through from the front page and just go page by page. But on the very back page, I write down wins. And so when I'm
Mm.
having a bit of a wobble, when I can't have a meltdown mid work day, I'll go to that page and it'll be things like um, this client's school said that he had been a school refuser until he worked with me and now he hasn't skipped a day of school for a month. Or this colleague said that they never understood this particular terminology until I'd explained it in a new way. And so every time I hear something where someone says something like, oh, you changed my life because of X, Y, or Z, or you're wonderful because, it sounds really arrogant in a way, but it's the things that are really easy to forget when you're down in the dumps. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so important to remember that you do good stuff as well. Because I'm
Oh, I love
very good at beating myself up and telling myself I'm an awful person, but I do
Mm-hmm.
some good stuff sometimes.
Yeah. I'm very good at telling myself that I'm not smart enough or I don't have enough intelligence or I don't remember enough. And then I can go into a session and provide value and realize that like I do know a lot more than I give myself credit for. And it's hard to remember sometimes. And I think it's also a perspective shift of for us, certain things seem so simple. Get some more protein in. For us, that seems so simple. And for other people, that's hugely valuable in a statement. So, perspective.
Well, you are a weekly highlight for me. You've definitely made me better at technology and social media. You push me every week in my goals, and I'm pretty thrilled that we get to do this together each week.
I love my Sundays now. Like, this brings so much joy. And like, it's so funny because every time you ask me first, how are you? Like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm good. I know we're trying to be real, but I feel so good right now because we get onto our calls. I know that I have that accountability. I have to be prepared, show up for the podcast for us. You created this and brought this to life. Like, that is all like it's 100% owed to you for reaching out and messaging me and getting this going. So, and you keep me on track with some show notes and everything, but you really do. It's awesome to talk with you and you it pushes me to be a better behavior analyst analytically in terminology and everything because I'm so removed from it that it's a good challenge for me.
I
So,
think this is a good note to finish on. What do you think?
yeah, I think so too.
Okay, we came up, we came down, we've come back up again. Okay, so topics. If anyone's got any particular topics that you wanted to cover, if you think this episode has been a big pile of poo, feel free to not message us and don't tell us. If you think it's been wonderful and you want more of this kind of stuff, also message us and please tell us. If you want anything in particular, whether it's behavior analytic or health or fitness, let us know. I think we said that we were going to do this next episode and we haven't, but I think next episode we really are going to do reinforcement and punishment and what that is and how it can be used. But any other requests, let us know. You can let us know by emailing us. Our email address is behaviourselfpod@gmail.com. Our Instagram is behaviourselfpod at G.
Mhm.
Help me.
No, at Gmail.
Not at Gmail. It's just behaviourselfpod.
Yes.
Yeah. My Instagram is the behavior lady. Emily's Instagram is at emily.a.mccrae. And we have a wonderful Facebook group of very lovely people who are very supportive, and we are constantly doing new topics. So find us on Facebook at Behave Yourself Podcast.
Podcast.
What have I missed?
Perfect. That's
Give us
all.
more reinforcements. Give us more reinforcement with
Yes.
reviews. And
Leave
more
reviews.
reviews would be good.
Yes. All the reinforcement, all the love.
Yes.
Awesome.
I don't know if this needs a disclaimer. I don't think we've made any particular recommendations, but we are both behaviour analysts, qualified in our respective fields, shouting at local people, poor people. But this podcast is for education and information sharing only and shouldn't be taken as personal, medical, or behavioural advice or services. I don't know what you take from this episode, but there you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to our therapy session.
Yes. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.